Newslaundry posted a 3-part series titled On a Godman's Trail. All 3 of these articles make massive accusations against Sadhguru and Isha Foundation, so let's take a look at the validity of these arguments. The first article is boldly titled How Sadhguru Built His Empire Illegally. The first claim that Newslaundry makes is that the campus is adjacent to the Bolampatti Reserve Forest, an elephant habitat. This claim is false. This is the Bolampatti Reserve Forest. Maps show that the forest is 10 kilometers away from Isha Foundation, which is about a 2-hour walk distance. The next thing that Newslaundry claims is that Isha Foundation is situated on an elephant migration corridor, which is once again a false claim. The Wildlife Trust of India published a comprehensive document called The Rite of Passage, Elephant Corridors of India in 2017. On pages 372 to 375, report shows that in terms of the reserve forest, the corridor has an estimated elephant population of 390 and that there are several villages and buildings that are on the corridor. However, it is important to note that the buildings of Isha Foundation are not mentioned on the report as Isha is several miles away from the corridor. So let's take a look at 3 of the buildings on the WTI report that is on the elephant corridor. Let's take the corridor village Bolampatti, which is 17 kilometers away from Isha. Or what about Saykom, which is on the elephant corridor, and that is 14 kilometers away from Isha. Or Kar-Kubul Institute, which is also on the corridor and is 15 kilometers away from Isha. Something to note here is that Newslaundry does not care about elephants or wildlife in this matter at all. As why has Newslaundry not said anything about the buildings that are actually situated on the elephant corridor? This is a clear attack on Sadhguru, as if elephants or wildlife was really their concern, these journalists would go after the buildings that are actually on the corridor. The next thing that Newslaundry says is that the elephant corridor construction over 300 square meters cannot be done without the approval of the HACA. And they link a couple of letters from activists who try to stop Isha Foundation constructions. However, every single one of those letters and papers you see in Newslaundry are all baseless and unsubstantiated. The government of Tamil Nadu had published a report by the Auditor General of India in 2017, and this document clearly says that Isha Foundation constructions did not fall under the TBGP, meaning that Isha Foundation constructions were clearly legal. So why did Newslaundry leave out this government audit that clearly shows the pictures this article posted are unsupported and evidently they are wrong? And if the Auditor General evidence is not enough, then here is a document from the Tamil Nadu Forest Department clearly showing that Isha Centre is constructed on Patta land only and has not infringed onto forest land. Why did Newslaundry omit this strong evidence also? The Newslaundry then says in 2020, the area of Isha Foundation is now a famous elephant habitat, but not a designated elephant corridor. Now, once again, this is false. What environmentalists and forest officials have explained is that the lands near Isha are agricultural lands with sugarcane and banana, and when elephants are in shortage of food and water in the forest, they come near to agricultural lands. It is also important to note that the elephants are herd animals, and that the sighting of an elephant near Isha is just one stray elephant that moved away from the herd. And this phenomenon of stray elephants has been seen in all parts of Coimbatore, not just Isha Centre. The title is Propped by Press and Politicians, How Jaggi Vasudev Became Sadhguru. In this article, Newslaundry gives a spin on how Sadhguru got to where he is today. Sadhguru in 1997 had a column in a magazine named Vikatan. And Newslaundry says, and I quote, Spiritual advice was clearly good for business, and why wouldn't a magazine want to cash in on it? And Newslaundry also says, it's how Jaggi Vasudev realized that media exposure would bring in popularity. So you can already see the way that they are painting Sadhguru to be greedy for fame and business, which goes against objective reporting. Newslaundry also starts Sadhguru's journey in 1997, which shows they are leaving out so much important information, such as at the age of 12 when Sadhguru met Sri Raghavendra Swamiji and learned simple yoga asanas. Or that in 1982 Sadhguru had a spiritual experience and decided to share it with others. So he conducted his yoga class in Mysore in 1983, and these yoga classes were so popular that 15,000 people attended them. It is important to note that Sadhguru did not accept anything for these yoga classes, and if anyone did want to donate, he would give all the donations to a local charity. In 1993, he established Isha Yoga Center, and in 1997, he started teaching yoga in the United States. And a year later, he conducted yoga for prisoners. Clearly, the Newslaundry leaves out all this information of Sadhguru so that they can paint him as a greedy villain. Also, this claim by Newslaundry that Sadhguru became famous in 1997 because of a magazine column is blatant lies. Suddenly, Newslaundry jumps to 2006 and claims that Sadhguru got political ties to the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, and even say this journalist said that Vasudev had no political access until he met the Chief Minister in 2006. And Newslaundry also says once Sadhguru got access to DMK's close circles, his reach became widespread. So once again, Newslaundry is spreading fake news and saying Sadhguru is only famous because of political ties he made in 2006. Sadhguru had massive reach before 2006, and he had this following not because of political assistance, but rather because of his own social and humanitarian projects. In 1999, Sadhguru consecrated Dhyana Linga, which masses of people around the world appreciate. In 2000, Sadhguru addressed the United Nations Millennium World Peace Summit. In 2003, Sadhguru started the Action for Rural Rejuvenation program. In 2005, Sadhguru constructed the Isha Institute of Inner Sciences in Tennessee, United States. And also in 2005, he founded Isha Homeschool in Coimbatore. In 2006, Sadhguru's Isha Vidya Foundation planted more than 8 million plants in more than 6,000 locations across Tamil Nadu in a single day, for which he got a Guinness World Record. It's also to be noted that Sadhguru attended his first World Economic Forum summit in this year. So, as you can see, Sadhguru already did so much good for the world before he even met the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. Newslaundry once again left out so much information about how widespread Sadhguru was before 2006, so that they can paint him to be big because of a meeting with someone political, rather than the truth, which is Sadhguru's humanitarian work. Newslaundry then jumps to 2008, saying that an entertainment star named Vijay moved Sadhguru from printed media to television, and in 2010 Isha Foundation copied Vijay's program and named it Conversation with a Mystic. Newslaundry is again leaving out so much information about Sadhguru and attributes Sadhguru's popularity to a film star. Whereas the truth is, Sadhguru was usually popular not because of the film star. So once again, Sadhguru attended the World Economic Forum in 2007, 2008, and 2009. In January 2010, Sadhguru consecrated Linga Bhairavi, which people around the world once again appreciate. Project Green Hands in 2010, not to mention Sadhguru's YouTube channel was started in March 2007, and Isha Foundation YouTube channel was started in September 2006. And both channels already had a big following. Therefore, Newslaundry cannot attribute Sadhguru's popularity to a film star. Newslaundry then states in 2018, an episode of Youth and Truth in Nalsar University, students began asking Sadhguru questions about elephant corridors in Tamil Nadu and why women could not enter certain temples. Newslaundry also quotes an assistant professor that Nelson's students are trained in critical thinking. What Newslaundry leaves out is that Nelson did not allow students randomly from the crowd to ask questions. In terms of the elephant corridor, I've already debunked that earlier in this video. Next, regarding Sabrimala Temple, this critical thinking student...
Who are you and I sitting here to make prescriptions for women and say that this is harmful for you, hence don't do it, or this is not harmful and you shouldn't? Women's entry to temple, and you're saying the reason why they're not allowed. One second, Subha.
I'm sorry, sir. You can continue with your
The
question.
problem, sir, Mr. Joe, you do not know the culture of this nation. You're talking simply activism.
Yeah, because I'm Catholic, right?
However, his critical reasoning does not allow him to question why there are no female popes, why only a handful of women hold senior positions in the Vatican, or about the exploitation and abuse of nuns. Nonetheless, Sadhguru answers this question about Sabrimala Temple very well, but Newslaundry leaves that part out.
There are certain occult practices where if the occult practices are being done, women in state of pregnancy, in menstrual cycles, it could seriously impact their life. So they said women should not go. It was also designed that on a certain day, if the woman is in a certain condition, on a full moon day she can go, other days… These are prescriptions, these are not restrictions. These are prescriptions, these are not discriminations. These are done with a specific intent. Or, now that you're talking about women's rights, why don't you fight for the men's rights? In our temple, the Bhairavi temple that we have, men are not allowed inside the sanctum. Why don't you stand up and fight for that? I will tell you why they're not allowed. That temple is only for the women. Men are not allowed. Why? Is it a discrimination? It is not about discrimination. It is a certain dimension of life. If you go by this crude sense of equality, you will harm the woman immensely. There are millions of temples open to everybody. Suddenly, why discrimination will come in one temple? What are you talking about? This is not a culture which discriminated against women. There are more female deities in this country than male deities. Every village you go, there is an Amman temple, there is a…
In the last part of this article, Newslaundry states, and I quote, "Volunteers are not paid for their work. They qualify to work for Isha, going through a mandatory program of inner engineering." Well, by reading this, it is quite obvious that whoever compiled this article has never volunteered for anything before in their life. By definition, somebody who volunteers donates their services without contemplation of pay. The Non-Profit Risk Management Center explains that non-profits should not pay volunteers because once you pay someone for their work, you have transformed the former volunteer into an employee, because you've created a plausible basis for the person to claim they are an employee. It is important to note that those who volunteer for non-profits do not do it for the money, but because they believe in the mission of the organization, and this goes for all volunteers in any organization, not just Isha. Regarding the mandatory inner engineering, it is the primary skill needed to do duties effectively for the organization. Just like how a doctor or a nurse volunteering at an NGO such as Red Cross would need mandatory medical skills, likewise, Isha volunteers require the inner engineering skills to volunteer effectively for Isha. Many non-profit organizations have mandatory programs to take before you can even consider volunteering. Now, onto the final article of this series, Trick of the Trade, How Sadhguru's Isha Foundation Evades Paying Taxes. Newslaundry states, and I quote, "In fact, Isha even lists its donations as earnings from selling services such as yoga sessions and spiritual jaunts, as well as a range of products." Now, this information that I am about to cite is from UpCounsel, which is a legal platform with the largest network of independent lawyers in the world and is highly reputed. This article by UpCounsel clearly states that a non-profit organization can sell commercial products and is completed through donations. Simply put, non-profits can sell goods or services and recognize the sale of these items as donations. UpCounsel explains that many non-profits see millions of dollars pass through the organization per year, and that the organization must generate revenue to support its operations, and they can do that through sales of products and services. The reason these nonprofits have tax-exempt status is because the surplus of funds generated are for the mission of the organization, not for personal gain. So in the case of Isha, the mission is raising awareness of yoga, education, environmental purposes, rural development, and many other aspects of human well-being, such as now in 2021 Isha Foundation using its funds generated to help COVID relief. As per international mercantile law, non-profits are not prohibited from engaging in activities that generate income, and non-profits can independently generate income or set up a relationship with a profit company. AZcentral also explains that examples of non-profits that sell products and handle a lot of cash are religious groups, churches, healthcare organizations, schools, and to maintain their tax status, all money must come from activities or products relating to the organization's mission. In the case of Isha Foundation, this is true. So let's take a look at the 2 donation receipts shown by the Newslaundry article. So firstly, the tree samplings bought from Isha Foundation. This receipt is part of Isha Outreach and a social development project. And since it's dated 2018, it is part of Project Green Hands, which means that it is a donation, and anyone who has purchased saplings in 2018 from Isha nurseries were making a donation towards Project Green Hands. Regarding the amount spent, Newslaundry is very likely being deceitful here. The reason I say this is because I tracked the original receipt, which was posted on Twitter on 12 June 2018 by this Twitter account. This Twitter post clearly said that the man bought tree saplings for 1,242 rupees and received a receipt of donation. The original post has no mention of 8,000 rupees or 3,000 rupees, saying that Newslaundry is very likely cooking up numbers. It is also to be noted that the income tax investigation was dismissed, as Isha Foundation is following the procedures for a non-profit. The next receipt is from the Swedish lady. Now, this has been twisted by Newslaundry. They got the information about Jaya Balu from Newsvoice, a tiny Swedish reporting company ran by one man named Torbjörn Sasserson. In the original interview done 6 years ago, the Swedish woman felt that during the ceremony there was no spirituality and insulted Devi Linga as she said she did not want to bow down to a god in the form of an egg and submit. So she left Isha Center and wanted a full refund, which obviously included the cost of accommodation, food, etc. Isha willingly gave her her refund. Now, what are the problems with the story? Firstly, out of such a big group of people, she was the only person who had a problem. Secondly, she lied and said that this yantra ceremony was a dupe for Westerners like herself, and that she did not have information about the costs involved. The integrity of this person is also in question, as she has a criminal record in her own country of Sweden. All information of all Isha programs are explained on the website. Secondly, the yantra ceremony is open to all, not only Westerners like Balu said. Secondly, the Newsvoice, run by Sasserson, that interviewed Balu regarding her experience at Isha Foundation, has been denied press support in Sweden for spreading blatant fake news and conspiracy theories on multiple occasions. Most recently, Sasserson has been using Newsvoice to spread anti-vaccine information. Why is Newslaundry publishing a story from a fake news company and trying to pass it off as proper to its readers? Newslaundry then says, aside from selling yogic and spiritual services, Isha is associated with a bouquet of business enterprises, Isha Foods and Spices, Isha Crafts, and the list goes on. According to Urban Institute, nearly half of the total revenue of a non-profit organization comes from fees for services and goods. This article even states that it's a common misconception that non-profits get all their revenues from in-kind donations, and that non-profits commonly sell things or services. So if Newslaundry has a problem with how many non-profit organizations such as Isha sell their products, it's something that Newslaundry needs to take up with international business lawmakers and corporate councils. Newslaundry also has a problem with the Kailash Mansarovar events and the annual Mahashivaratri festival, and also mentions these events in an insulting, condescending tone, and then complain about the amount of money made during Mahashivaratri. So I am quoting from AZcentral regarding ethical practices of non-profits, and it says, and I quote, "For example, if the non-profit has a surplus from its normal fundraisers and events, that is okay. Meaning that it is totally within the functioning of a non-profit that Isha can host events such as Mahashivaratri, just like how many non-profits host events such as concerts, galas, or exhibitions to raise funds." The next thing Newslaundry states is that one of the conditions for tax exemption is that the organization must have nothing to do with religious activities, and then claim that Isha is involved in religious activities because of Mahashivaratri event. This is a misconception that Mahashivaratri is religious. Mahashivaratri is an astronomical phase of the planet. And Sadhguru has explicitly stated that Mahashivaratri is not part of any religion, race, or nationality, but rather based on planetary positions. Next, Newslaundry says that Isha is running a free temples campaign in Tamil Nadu, which is a religious activity, thus a clear violation of ATG. Once again, this is not religious in nature, rather it has to do with the history, heritage, and well-being of society. During even the times of the East India Company, the colonialists controlled the temple, and now, under government control, these temples are not doing any better. The UNESCO report stated that the department neither had the capacity nor the qualified experts to carry the conservation work, and no proper system was being followed. Those temples are a part of the history and heritage of Tamil Nadu and also contribute to the economy, especially in terms of tourism.
Until today, after 74 years of independence. This is very painful because a temple is not a place of prayer, it is the soul of this community. In Tamil Nadu, most towns were built holding temple as the center and the main piece. Town evolved around a temple.
Lastly, Newslaundry brings up Calvary calling and asks how can a private organization as Isha be allowed to collect sums of money from the public to undertake a project on government land in Karnataka. However, what Newslaundry deceitfully leaves out is that Isha was planting trees on private land belonging to farmers, not government land. I have lost count of the amount of false claims and misinformation spread in this series by Newslaundry. These articles are definitely defamation, and I am defining defamation as per Section 499 of the Indian Penal Code, where it states that publishing any imputation concerning any person intending to harm or knowing the publication will harm the reputation of such person is said to defame.
You have spoken in so many prestigious and globally recognized institutes, organizations, and conferences. But still there is a segment of yellow media which constantly dislikes you and dishes out most unreasonable and baseless trash against you. Why do you attract such incendiary criticism which no other spiritual leader in the country attracts?
See, look at the way I am, that's why. Well, see, this is mango season, the tree is full of fruit. This is mango season. Only that tree which is full of fruit gets the maximum amount of stones, worms, insects, everything.